Hi everybody, it's Yvonne here. Today we're going to talk about something a little more fancy, at least it sounds fancy, the fourth industrial revolution. Now, you've probably heard about this a few times, and what exactly is it? We've had a couple of revolutions, obviously three so far, but the fourth industrial revolution is where we've had to rethink the skills that our children will need for the next jobs to come. The jobs that we do today will no longer be relevant by the time our children will finish varsity and go on to choose new jobs. A lot of them will be computerized, a lot of them will be automated, and we've got to make sure that we don't train our children to do jobs that will be obsolete by the time that they finish school. So let's look at some of the skills that will be needed. Creativity. A computer can't be creative. A computer can't come up with new ideas. It can only do what it's told. So our children will really be an asset in their way that they tackle new challenges, the solutions that they can come up with. They've got to be able to take this technology and harness its potential. So they have to use the computers and not let the computers be the master of them. That's where their creativity is going to come in. Emotional intelligence. Again, this is something a computer can't do for us. Emotional intelligence is the ability of a person to make judgment calls, but the important part is that they stop and they think. They process this information in a very linear way, not in a computer kind of way. They ask questions. Encourage your children to have a curiosity. But why does it work like that? Explain to me how an aeroplane flies. Which parts work? Let's test it. Let's make a paper aeroplane and see if that works. Let's change the angle of the wings and see if that helps, makes it faster, go slower. Those kinds of experiments and curiosity is what's going to give them that creativity to think past where a computer can. Children should be aware of their own gifts. Each of us brings an asset in our personality. We have strengths and weaknesses, and they need to have the self-awareness to go, I have a skill in this. Acknowledge their skill and build that skill up. Discipline is going to be very important. The ability to self-discipline, to regulate yourself in situations. This is where our children really are lacking because we seem to either lawnmower a parent and make an easy road ahead for them, or we try to fix things as a helicopter parent. We really need to teach our children to self-regulate, to have their own discipline. They need to have their own goals, things that are important to them. When a child has their own goals and things that they're interested in, they motivate themselves. You don't have to beg a child to build Lego if that's what they love doing. So let them find their own goals so that they can motivate themselves. You'll be surprised what your child can do when they motivate themselves. Building a team or building the skills to run a team. Again, that's something that a computer can't do. That takes personal contact with each other, and that's a skill that can't be replaced. Critical thinking. Our children are going to really have to look at complex problems and be able to pick them apart, analyze them, look at the flow of information, and use all the resources. This is where the people need to be the master of the computer. Yes, we use the equipment that's at our beck and call, but we don't let the computer become the master of us. They need to use logical reasoning rather than having emotional decisions. So a computer is logical, but we need to add a little bit of emotion to that. How will it affect humankind? This is where ethics, where your value system comes in, and you make different decisions to what a computerized decision is. Human beings are able to gather together the pros and the cons of a situation. A computer follows instructions. So we want to look at what are the pros and what are the cons. Does one of those pros completely outweigh 10 of the cons? That's a very human thing to be able to do, and a skill that's going to be very worthwhile. Then we need to have children that are very open-minded. If they have a solution suggested to them that wasn't their idea, they need to be open-minded enough to work through that solution, to look at the merit of it rather than just shutting it down. So open-mindedness is going to be very important. That open-mindedness really brings us through to a growth mindset. We need children who will be willing to grow their abilities and their intelligence at every opportunity, to embrace new challenges, to want to take on a new challenge, and be willing to fail sometimes in order to take on new challenges. When they fail, however, let's learn from the mistakes. Let's make notes on where we think it went wrong, and let's move on from that. Let's grow from that. And then they should actively seek knowledge. That knowledge can come from your computers, but we have a wealth of knowledge in previous generations, in generations that might be retired or that are still current professionals. Mentoring programs are wonderful for expanding that growth mindset in your children. They're never too early to have a mentor. If they're interested in Lego, let's take them on a Lego camp where someone who has designed Legos before can really inspire them to take that passion forward. Complex problem-solving skills. Computers will be capable of solving problems for us, for calculating problems, but humans will be able to look at the much bigger picture. If we have one solution that is able to solve many problems that are interrelated, that's a very good human characteristic to carry forward to where we don't even know what problems we're going to face. But if one solution can tick a whole bunch of boxes, your children need to be able to look at those solutions and think creatively to develop those solutions as well. Decision making. This is something a computer can't do for us. Decision making is looking at the human element of going down one road or going down another. Each one has implications, and sometimes neither are very good decisions, but we have to make them. And there's a human element in that. Build a strong character in your children where they are willing to make that decision. They're willing to take that step forward and take responsibility for what happens further down that road. It will be such a valuable skill in life today, but it really will become more valuable as time passes. Technology. We're always being told, don't put your children in front of a screen, not too much screen time. But technology really is a skill that if you don't have for future generations, will really put you on the back foot. So if you're going to give your children screen time, let's make sure that they learn the skills of technology, and let's make sure that those skills are age appropriate. We don't need a child programming computers at age 3. However, if your child is really showing a passion for it, equip him. Let him follow that passion. There are so many different jobs related to IT and computers. We have to make sure that our children are capable to keep up with that trend. The biggest thing that your children are going to have to learn, and it's really hard with all the indecision and lack of routine that we feel right now, but we need to teach our children to embrace change. Change is the one thing we can always depend on. Things will change. How do we embrace that? How do we take the opportunity and see it as an opportunity rather than seeing the change as a negative? This is a skill that really will vault your child forward in the fourth industrial revolution. Being able to see change as an opportunity. In South Africa during COVID, and I'm sure this is true for most countries, as COVID hit, there were opportunities for new businesses. Yes, so many closed down. But if you evolved, if you changed your business, if you embraced the change, your business was more likely to survive. Not a guarantee, but step into it. Step into it, take the risk, make the decision, and embrace the change. And those are the businesses that have found alternate forms of income or another way to hold on until we go back to normal. One of the examples is a restaurant who is no longer able to seat patrons in a restaurant. Let's form a takeaway menu. Let's have our waiters delivering the food to our clients. The system is different, but really the end product is the same. It's still the same service, the same food. It's just in a different location. We've had to adapt. This is the best skill you can teach your children for the next generation of jobs. So embrace change and see the opportunities in it. Our children are not going to have an easy time, but these skills really will equip them for it. Work on them on a daily basis and for yourself as well. Embrace the change and enjoy the journey with your children.